Okay, so I can explain. Hey guys, this is not the video that I was planning on making today, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what my current plans are for my 2021 planner situation. And let me preface this by saying this is happening not because I am in any way, shape, or form unhappy with this setup. This setup that I've been talking about in my last couple months worth of videos is by far the most functional and most useful setup I've had in a planner system in a long time. So I'm not unhappy with the way that this has been working for me. And if for some reason this doesn't work out, I'll just, slide right back into this planner with no issues whatsoever. I'm not going to be buying any planners in 2021, so whether it be this setup or this setup, one of these two things is going to work for me, and I'm not buying anything else this year. So I'm not worried about that. The setup that I have going on in here is pretty much the same as this. I just had to get a little bit more creative for how I had it in here. And really what it boils down to is I have a lot of stuff going on this year that is going to require me to travel that is out of my control. And the thought of having to carry a wallet and a journal and a planner all together with me while I'm traveling was stressing me out. And so I wanted to find a way to consolidate a couple of those things into one. For me, anything that I use in my planner, wallet, journal setup can't be just a one-trick pony. It has to serve more than one function. So this is like a planner and a bullet journal. This is a planner, bullet journal, regular journal. And then I had been in my Filofax Malden as a wallet / collections bullet journal for a while, but I have moved my wallet back into my traveler's notebook, which I have used in the past as a wallet, but I'm gonna hopefully be using these two items as everything that I need for the entire year. And I'll go into what's inside of this in a little bit more detail. I'm going to just go through kind of like the gist of how I have this set up because I need to have a couple more weeks under my belt before I can really talk about the details of what's going on in here. The point of all of this basically is to show you guys that like the system that I use for myself and the system that I try to talk about in my videos, with a few modifications, it can be made to work in any setup, in any blank notebook, in a Filofax, in a traveler's notebook, in a Hobonichi, in a discbound, in an Erin Condren, in a bound notebook, in an unbound notebook. Like you can use the same techniques that I talk about in any planner system and not skip a beat. Okay, so let's get into it. Before we dive too far into that, I'm going to talk about today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. I've recently picked up my watercolors again and also have started getting into gouache. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of my favorite watercolor and gouache technique classes that I'm really excited to take this year.
Skillshare is an online learning community built to help you unleash your creative potential. New classes are constantly being added, so if you want to learn something new or brush up on an old skill, this is the place to do it. I've been stuck in a bit of a creative rut lately, and I finally decided to pick up my watercolors again. I turned to Skillshare for some new classes to take for some inspiration and decided to branch out into a new medium called gouache. I found an awesome class for beginners, grabbed some supplies, and picked up my paintbrush. It felt so good to be able to create again. Skillshare classes are broken down into shorter, more manageable lessons that allow you to learn at your own pace and repeat lessons if you need more practice. These classes are curated for learning, so there's no ads, and at less than $10 a month for an annual subscription, this tool can fit any budget. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description box below will receive a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. If you guys have been watching my videos for any amount of time, you know that I only recommend stuff that I personally use and love, and Skillshare is no exception.
I took the cover. Normally I have a cover on this. I took it off because of the glare. It was annoying under the lights. But this is the protective plastic cover that goes on top. But I have found for my purposes that the Hobonichi covers and then also this gorgeous Giglio Appunto are the best for how I have mine set up. I need my covers to be slightly roomier because of the extras that I have tucked inside. I did buy a Moterm A5 Hobonichi cover, which I'm planning on doing a comparison of the Giglio to the Moterm at some point. I will be returning it because it is slightly more snug and the Giglio is quite roomy. And I need roomy for all of the things that I have tucked inside this planner to make it work for me. So I will pretty much only use the Hobonichi covers and the Gillio covers because of their roominess. I'm pretty basic when it comes to the inside of my planner. I have this couple of stencils from Hobonichi and then some page flags and some sticky notes. I may actually, divide this sticky note pad in half and stick it back inside and then just get rid of these all together, because the pen that I use all the time has, which if you guys want to know what my most used pens are, I will link that video up above, but the pen that I use in my planner is this 4-barrel UniStyle Fit, and it has a pencil option inside of it right there. So I don't really need or use page flags all that often anymore, because if something is tentative, I will just pencil it in instead of using a page flag. So I don't decorate this. Everything in this planner system setup has a purpose. Inside this pocket, I will sometimes have some of my most used stickers. Right now, there's just a couple of sheets of like the Target Dollar Spot pad that I ripped off if I need to write a quick note down that doesn't need to stay in here, or if I need to give somebody like a piece of information or phone number or something like that. I just keep a couple of those tucked in here. And then this insert right here comes and goes. The idea being that I am using my daily pages in this Hobonichi as journaling and also bullet journaling space. So collections, things like that. So the only reason that I have never run out of space on a daily page in my Hobonichi in the almost, 4 years, 18, 19, 20. So this will be my 4th year using a Hobonichi. I've never run out of daily page space, but I just tucked these inserts are so thin, they really don't take up much space at all. But in the event that I am journaling about something really fun and I need a ton of space, I can use this as an extension of the page right on here, rip it out, tape it in, and use that to extend the size of this daily page if I run out of space. It has not yet happened, but it gives me anxiety thinking about not having enough space. And so I just tucked in one of these little journals into the front of this cover, and that's where it sits, just in case I need a little bit more room. So then the front part of the Hobonichi is just like a standard planner. It's got your 2021 year at a glance, 2020 year at a glance, 2022 year at a glance, and then you have this like index calendex pages. A lot of people will use this for referencing. If there's something important that you write on one of the dates in your daily page, you can reference it here as a calendex. I will probably be using this space down here below as my when did I last pages. So when did I last buy dog food? When did I last buy dish soap? So that I can make sure that our monthly budgeting and sinking funds and all that stuff is still staying on track. I don't know. I've never really been great about using these pages. Some people use them as a monthly tracker, but I track more than, there's only 10 spots for each day. And so I track more than 10 things. I'm not sure what I'm going to use these for. If you guys have any good ideas, leave me a comment down below, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using this space at the bottom for my when did I last purchase, etc. pages. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I may use this as reference because I'm going to be using my daily pages as part journaling, part bullet journaling. If there's an important piece of information, maybe I'll log it in here. Otherwise, I'm going to be creating my index with these blank pages right here for the daily pages, which I will explain in just a minute. So then we head into the monthly view. Pretty standard stuff. Like you can see, I use some page flags, but for the most part, I've been penciling stuff in. Monthly view, and then we go into our weekly views. So this is, like I said, I don't have a lot written in here yet. My husband is on leave, which is basically military vacation. So we haven't done a whole lot of stuff. So I'm going to give this a couple weeks and then come back and show you guys how it's working for me. But I've used Hobonichi in the past as a planner and been perfectly happy with it. The only hang up was that these columns are slightly wider than almost all of my 1.5 inch stickers. So it makes it slightly annoying for using stickers. Let me see if I can find an example. Yeah, so like a lot of the Erin Condren stickers have overhang. They're wider, slightly wider. Yeah, you can see slightly wider than, this is like 1.3 inches wide in the Erin Condren stickers, and most sticker makers do 1.5 inch wide. But I am kind of sick of this layout, like the stickers and the highlighters and all that kind of stuff. It's a little busy for me. And so I really, at the end of last year, started just kind of messing around with like very neutral highlighters, grays, like sage green, light blue, things like that. And I like the look of this so much better, cleaner, a lot less cluttered looking. So I'm gonna just probably focus on minimal colors, minimal stickers, and just not let the width of the sticker bother me or keep me from using it in the future, and really probably just use a whole lot less stickers this year. So that's the layout for the weekly view. I generally section mine off into 3 different boxes. This at the top is weather, holidays, all-day events. This is like my to-do list and timed stuff during the day. And then this is work stuff at the bottom. I put my meals in down here, and then I have a little mini weekly tracker right there. Like I said, my husband's on leave. I've had family over for holidays, so I'll see if I can find an example. So here's a better example of what I normally have. Meal, this is kind of a failed week, but meals at the bottom, work stuff here, and then a little tracker, weekly tracker that I put down at the bottom. So like I said, I'll have more to show you guys in a couple of weeks, but the basic layout is this. Okay, so getting into how I'm going to be using the daily pages. Some people will use the Hobonichi strictly as a bullet journal, and they will use the monthly and the weekly views in the front as a standard planner, and then they will use all 365 pages in the back as blank pages, as if they were using like a regular blank notebook. I thought about doing that, but really my collections are only between, 30 and 50 pages long. Like that's it as far as my collections go in my planner. I don't have a ton of stuff that I keep as collections, but the few collections that I do keep are important to my planning system. So to me, it seemed like using 365 glorious Tomoe River paper pages for just, 30 to 50 collections was a massive waste. And so I really have loved daily journaling in my Hobonichi, and that's why I'm okay with what's going on right now. If this doesn't work out for me as a planner, I'm gonna fall back onto this, no problem, and continue to use this as like my daily writer. I've been journaling in a Hobonichi we're coming up on 4 years now, so 2018, 2019, 2020. And I have dabbled in planning in these in and out throughout the years, but for the most part, I have still very much enjoyed the daily pages. And that is, it's just a fun, like I love being able to, put pictures in, do drawings, watercolor, paintings, things like that. And having just 1 day per page as a memory keeper is a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed it. I do have a history of, on more than one occasion, somebody taking my journal without my permission and reading it. And so the thought of having like journaling pages near my planner, which other people may have to reference from time to time, made me very, very, very nervous. And it brought back a lot of bad memories. But I have been using the Hobonichi as like a fun memory keeper, a happy memory keeper, pages that I don't mind somebody else seeing, pages that I don't mind sharing with Instagram or other social media outlets. So I do, however, want to have an outlet for what I call my burn book. And I started using a burn book years ago as a journaling outlet for things that I don't, it kind of came out of the morning pages that I used to do. But the burn book is literally any notebook, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to have nice pages. And it's somewhere where I can just go in and vent and scream and yell and curse and write things that I would not want somebody to be able to see, but it's a therapy outlet for me. So if there's something bothering me, I will go into my burn book, scribble, write down, just vent and just get everything, all the vitriol out of me onto paper. And then when I'm done with that book, I literally destroy it. I burn it, I shred it, I do whatever to it, and I don't read it again. So I need to have something as a journaling, and that's something that I keep a lot more close eye on. And my little sister has explicit instructions upon my untimely death to find and destroy any of my burn book journals. So it's a way for me to like to still be able to journal about happy stuff that I wouldn't mind sharing with people. And then I'm using this as a wallet and my burn book because, you know, I have this with me at all times. It's a lot more, it's not something that other people go into. It's not something that I would have people flipping through. And it's just all of my old traveler's notebook inserts that I never finished using. I can do a tour of this setup at another point in time, but basically it just serves as a place to house my burn book inserts. Okay, now for the bulk of the Hobonichi, I needed to figure out a way to have space for all of my collections and to-do lists that didn't belong in my like weekly planning pages. And the way that I did that was by dividing my collections into 3 different categories: short-term, long-term, and printables. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean for that. So on a blank daily Hobonichi page, you have quite a bit of space. And there is this very faint line running down. I'd say it's about 1/3 of the way across the page. So it divides the page into about 1/3 and then 2/3. So if I have a to-do list that's specific to something like a grocery list or a list of things I need to pick up at a store, or it pertains to like one thing, like I set up a little greenhouse in our guest room. And so this was a list of things I needed to do to get that greenhouse set up and get those plants ready to go in there. So this was just a plants to-do list. This is not a to-do list that I need to, once it's completed, hold on to or keep for reference. This is like just a consumable, right? Like I wrote it down, I checked off what I needed to do, and then I'm done with it. I don't ever need to see it again. Those type of lists can go right here if I need to make a list. And so if, you know, I will literally just turn to the next blank page and use that column for that list and then journal on this side of the page. That's where this little empty notebook comes into play, because let's say I filled this whole thing up with a list and then I had a whole lot going on as far as memory keeping goes. If I needed to tape in another page, like I said, still hasn't happened, I can tear out a page from that and then add to this if I needed more room. But the short-term to-do list, things that I don't need to keep with me for a long time, once all the boxes are checked, I can get rid of them. It's not a list that I'll be continuing to add to. Those are going to go in my daily pages as they come up, okay? Right now, I've only been in this for a couple of days, but this was a sticker I put in here, you know, New Year's Day. This was a little bit about the movie we watched last night, Tenet. If any of you guys have seen that and want to explain it to me, feel free to do so in the comments. Great movie, very confusing. I love Christopher Nolan. Anyways, I digress. But right here you can see I am planning on writing out my resolutions or goals for this year. So I reserved this little column right here for the resolutions for 2021 that I want to write down. They're not something that I need to carry forward with me in future planners because they pertain to 2021. They're not things that I'm going to be writing over and over and over again as I transfer from planner to planner or journal to journal. I hate rewriting things over and over and over again. And it's one of the big drawbacks, I think, of traditional bullet journaling is that every time you start a new journal, you have to rewrite things over and over and over again. So I fill that need by using a transferable insert or printables. And so that's where the other 2 parts of my collections come in. So this is my long-term collections and these are my printables. An example would be, so this is an insert that I have transferred from planner to planner for a couple of years now, and it houses long-term collections that I add to year to year to year. I did actually print fresh versions of those out for my disc-bound planner, but basically this collection set is this collection set. And this is a really old, kind of ratty notebook that I've had for a couple of years now. So I'm thinking about transferring this to a fresh notebook for the year. I haven't decided if I want to expend that much energy on it yet. But basically this insert can come with me from planner to planner to planner. It's not something that I want to write over and over again. And that includes things like deployment ideas for when my husband deploys again, house projects, KonMari list, a movie log. This is a perfect example of a collection that I would keep with me for sometimes years at a time. You know, I don't want to have to write these over again year to year to year. And so I just continue to add to this list as I check things off. Even if all these things get checked off the list, I'm still adding to this list. So like the plants checklist, I'm not going to add to that checklist anymore once it's done. The movie log checklist of movies I want to watch, I may check all these off, but I'm going to continue to add to this list as I get more movie ideas. So those will live inside of this little insert right here. This is just like a normal Moleskine Cahier insert that you can get from Amazon. Goulet Pens also has an insert that's A5 size that is made of Tomoe River paper that I'm looking at, which is slightly thinner than this. But you can just use this with any old insert. You could even use a Midori insert and just tuck it into this back pocket right here. Like that. Whatever you want to use as a long-term collection list, that's what I would put in the back here. So that's what I'm going to do here. I may be lazy and just stick my old one in here, like make sure everything is current and just pop it in the back here, but maybe I'll feel inspired and transfer to a fresh new notebook for 2021. And then the last part of this are what I called my printables. Now, I absolutely love Peanuts Planner Co. inserts. She makes, in my opinion, the best, most functional planner inserts. I love the minimalist look of them. I love that you can edit them and customize them before you print them out. I just think they're really fantastic. I will leave a coupon code to her shop down below in the description. But there were a couple of Peanuts Planner Co. inserts that I just could not leave behind. And for the most part, most of my collections are just your standard title checklists. Some of my collections do require a full page, and that's, the Hobonichi doesn't really have just blank pages. There's like 5 blank grid note pages in the back, but for the most part, it's these pages. There are some pages that have stuff written on them that I could theoretically like glue in pages to, printables to, but I also like the thought that if I need to replace the page, you know, I can't rip it out and replace the page. So I came up with this little like folder idea. And I'll link the video to the instructions for making this adorable little folder, but I basically just took a manila file folder. I have some cute like Target dollar spot folders that I'm gonna make one out of. I just wanted to practice with this, but I just made a little insert folder that I can tuck into the back of the Hobonichi with like 6 to 10 of my favorite Peanuts Planner Co. inserts. Some of the Peanuts Planner Co. inserts are a whole page wide, and so I just didn't have a way to, I didn't want to draw these into my daily pages anywhere. I didn't want to draw these into a blank page somewhere. I didn't want to waste my time drawing this into my like long-term collections. And so I just picked, like I said, 6 to 10 of my favorite Peanuts Planner Co. inserts that I didn't want to attempt to recreate by hand drawing, and I printed them out. These are half letter size, so they're slightly taller than the Hobonichi, and so all I did was I just trimmed 1/4 of an inch off the bottom to make them Hobonichi height, and they're actually slightly thinner than the Hobonichi pages because a true A5 is shorter and wider than a half letter. Half letter is taller and narrower than an A5, so these were already narrower. I just trimmed a little bit off the bottom, but these were like a couple of my favorite printables from her: a to buy list, spending tracker, passwords log, online orders tracker. This is going to be a like gift ideas list for my family members, and then a coupon codes list. So as you can see, these are pretty much, I could recreate these in my long-term collection notebook, but I don't want to. It's easier for me to just print it off. And then these are also replaceable. So if I mess it up or if I fill it up and I need to make a new one, I'll just print off a new one and stick it in this little folder. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be gluing in my tracker. This is one way I did my trackers in my Hobonichi last year. I just printed off a Peanuts Planner Co. tracker insert. I believe this is the fold out A6 size, and I just printed it on sticker paper and then attached it to the blank monthly page in the Hobonichi, which I'll show you an example of that. At the beginning of every month, there's just a blank month page, and so I just taped or glued in my monthly tracker there. I may print off loose leaf trackers and tuck them into the other side of this folder. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do that. But yeah, so basically that completes the last portion of my collection. So to recap, short-term, easy to finish checklists are going to go right here if necessary. Long-term collections that I carry forward with me year to year, planner to planner, are going to go in this notebook. And then a couple of my favorite printables from Peanuts Planner Co. that I was not willing to give up live inside this folder that just get tucked into the back of my planner right here. And then this slides in here and the whole thing closes up. And so this will be planner, bullet journal, and regular journal. So it really appeals to me that when I go travel this year and move probably across the country again, I will be able to get away with these two things and have everything that I need for my mental health, my personal health, my planning, my bullet journaling, keeping track of everything. All of that's going to fit into these two things right here, and that makes me very happy. All right, so I will be doing an update video on this in a couple of weeks. I also am going to be finishing going through this planner for you guys in a video as well, so stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. Any affiliate links and coupon codes that I have, I will leave in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate your support. I love to hear from you. If you have a comment or a question, leave me a note, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.